Hey folks, thanks for stopping by our channel again. If you enjoy our channel, we'd ask that you subscribe, and when that bell icon appears, if you want to be notified of all of our latest videos, click that bell icon. And like our videos, hit that thumbs up button. YouTube gives us more exposure when you do that. Now a lot of times we'll have, 2, 3, 4,000 people view our videos and maybe only 100 likes on it. So if you can think to do that, we would greatly appreciate it. And don't forget to share us with your friends on social network. That's a very easy thing to do with the share button there also. And again, thank you all for stopping by, and we hope you enjoy this video. Today's video, I guess if I had to title it, it would be Fill in the Gaps. The first thing I want to talk to you today about filling in the gap is your holiday meal preparation. Now, there's a lot of people out there that, regardless of how bad times get or how lean things get, are going to worry about getting holiday meals put together. If you're going to worry about the holidays, you need to get it done now. You don't need to wait till next week or the following week. I'm already hearing from some of our followers and other YouTube channels that I do watch from time to time that there are places in our country that they're already putting limits on some of these things. Listened to a lady the other day. She said that her store had limits on things like cranberry sauce, gravies, and stuffings. You could only buy a couple or so of each of those. And she also said that some of those things were looking like they were in short supply. So if you're wanting to get those things and you can't make your own, and you're wanting to get those things for Thanksgiving or whatever holiday you may want to do, the time to get them is now. Because if you wait, then there's a real good chance you won't have them. You'll have to learn to make your own or do without them. One of the things I'd like to encourage you to purchase right now is if you, I hate to use the word addict, but that's kind of what we are, I guess, coffee addicts. If you're a coffee addict, I would suggest you go ahead and get your coffee now, because this spring when this thing hit and the shelves cleared out, the coffee and the creamers was one of the first things that left. They were bought out and gone. So if you are a coffee drinker and you need your coffee or creamer, then right now is the time to get it. You need to go ahead and do that now, because I'm going to tell you why here at the end of this list, why it's so important to do these things now. There's some things going on that I wasn't even aware of yesterday when I did that video and uploaded it, that I'm aware of today. And I want to share those with you in just a few minutes, but I want to go over a few of these things that if you're going to prepare for the holidays and for some short-term shut-ins, you need to get these things. One of the things that I did here also is that people are buying up some of these things like this when they see them, the cranberry sauce and that kind of thing. They're buying them up by the case, and that's one of the reasons they're in short supply. People are doing that already again. It's not in every state, it's not in every store, but it is happening, and it's rolling out throughout the country, and you will see it in your city before this falls or winter's out. Another thing I'd like to encourage you to get, whether this is for the holidays or not, is potato cakes, because these are things you can preserve in your pantry and keep for a long time. You can put these in jars and vacuum seal them and have an extended shelf life on them. And this is an important thing that I really wanted to mention that I just found out, that I've heard different people talk about the price of meats are going up in different places. Now, the price of our meat was still the same last week. I don't know what it is this week. We're getting ready to make another run to the city day after tomorrow, and we'll know more then, and I'll report back on that. But I've heard different people saying that the meats, that the prices of beef was going up, the prices of pork was going up, and the price of chicken where they purchase it is going up. So if that's the case where you live, it's time to fill in the gaps. If you've got a gap in your freezer, you need to put meat in it. You need to buy your meat while it's still affordable. Meat's going to become a commodity. It's not going to be a everyday meal that people eat. It's just not. Folks, we had farmers that killed herds of cattle this summer because they were unable to process them. They just put them down. We had people that had to get rid of chickens, hogs. We saw tractor trailer loads of potatoes dumped in ravines and just covered over with a bulldozer because they were unable to get this stuff processed and into the markets. These things are going to have an effect on 2020, around 2021. Again, we're eating last year's crops. We're eating last year's beef and last year's food crops. In 2021, we're going to be eating this year's food crops. And this year's food crops was way short from last year's, beef and all. So now's the time to fill in the gaps. If you've got extra money, if you've got extra space to put it, it's time to fill in the gaps. Don't keep putting it off. I'm going to tell you why here in just a little bit. And another reason that you need to do these things, or that these things will affect, let me put it like that. Another thing that these beef prices and these meat prices will affect is your pet food, because they use protein in pet food. They use these, some of the excess of the beef and the porks and things like that in pet food. And if they can't get it or they have to pay higher prices for it, then your pet food prices are going to go up. We've already seen Canadian cabin girl said her cat food by the can had went up $1 since she purchased it last. $1 a can on cat food. Folks, that's a lot. That's a huge price increase for cat food. I think we pay close to 50 cents a can for ours right now. And if it went up $1, that would make it 3 times the price we were paying for it. That's just crazy prices, and it's happening. So keep that in mind. Meats are going to increase in price. If you've got room in your freezer, fill in the gaps now. That's why I said I was going to title this "Fill in the Gaps." It's time to fill in the pantry gaps also. The things that got gone back in the spring off of the shelves were stuff like vegetables, canned vegetables, all kinds of canned vegetables. It didn't matter what it was, corn, beans, peas, yams. It didn't matter if it was in a can, it got gone. And this time right now, if you've got gaps in your pantry with that stuff, you need to get your stuff in your pantry now. Soups, man, soups got gone. They sold out in a heartbeat because, most soups you just add water or milk to them. And people buy that. They buy it by the case. They fill their shopping carts full of that stuff. And it just got gone really fast. If you need soups, if you're low on soups, get it now. Especially stuff like cream of chicken, cream of mushroom, cream of celery. Any of those cream of soups, you can add them to meals, and they make delicious meals. You can add them with your egg noodles. You can add them with your rice. You can add them with any of that kind of stuff. Put a little meat in with them, and they make the best meals. And there's always some, if there's just 1 or 2 of you in the home, there'll always be some left over for another meal. It just stretches out. It makes things so much easier for you. Right now is the time to load up. If you keep putting off and waiting till next week or next month, it's going to catch you. Now, we've talked about this all fall, that we need to be prepping and putting stuff back and getting ready for the fall. Well, the fall has arrived and winter is here, and I just feel in my heart that we're going to have a hard winter. A lot of people are going to have a tough winter, especially those who have not put back food. We are seeing right now across our nation another food rush, another wave of panic buying has started. I've heard from several people in our community here on Facebook, and I have read several articles. I've seen other people on YouTube in other areas, and it's scattered. It's not like it's one condensed area. It's scattered across the country. And but it's coming. See, that's the thing about it. This thing is coming, and once it's like a dam that burst. Once it bursts and everybody panics, then, buddy, it's all over but the crying, as the old saying is. You'll be out here trying to find food in various places. So right now's the time to fill in the gaps, even as we speak. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to encourage you that you need to do this stuff while you can. There's still food on the shelves in the majority of the places. So get it while it's there. If you have to let something else go this week, let it go. Pay for it next week, but get you some extra food this week. Put this stuff back. Make sure you've got water. Make sure you've got beans and rice. Make sure you've got yeast to bake bread with. These soups will take your bean and rice so far. You need flours and meals. You need things like that, just staples. Look through your pantry and see what you're short on. Look through your house and see what you're short on. Make sure you have batteries for your flashlights. Make sure you have candles for lights in case batteries fail. There's just so much that needs to be done, and so many things that people need to have on hand. And we've talked about this for a couple of months now. And I really think that we're coming down into the space or into the time that we've been trying to get everybody prepared for. We've kind of been in this road, and it's kind of the road's got narrower and narrower and narrower, and the time frame has gotten narrower and narrower. So I really feel like our time frame is getting very, very narrow. Our window of opportunity is very, very narrow. I hope I'm wrong. I really do hope I'm wrong. But with everything I'm seeing, if this thing breaks open like it did in March, buddy, we don't have a whole lot of time to get our stuff put back. We don't have a whole lot of time to fill in the gaps. So let me encourage you to do that. Don't panic. Don't get scared. Just go out and get it. Be prepared. That's what I want you to be. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be scared and panicky. I want you to be prepared. That's what this video is about. And as I always say, if you know the Lord Jesus Christ, you've already prepared your heart and your mind and your soul, and you're ready for whatever may come, because the Father's grace will suffice you. His grace is sufficient for us. He loves us just like our earthly fathers and mothers love us and cares for us. Well, my goodness, He loves us much more than they ever could, and He cares for us much more than they ever could. So if you love the Lord Jesus Christ and you put your trust and your hope in Him, then God's grace is sufficient for you. He's given you a window of opportunity for a reason. If you've not, I still want you to prepare. Whether you feel like that you're ready to meet the Lord or not, you still have this body to take care of, and I want you to take care of it. I want you to have an opportunity. I want you to live long enough to have an opportunity to know the Lord Jesus Christ. These are just things that are very, very needful. There's a whole lot of people that this window of opportunity to come to know Jesus is getting more narrow and more narrow also, because we see so many people. All this fear that the news media has instilled in people about the stuff that's going on. And I can't get into the politics of all this. I'd love to, but I can't on this channel. All this fear that has been propagated and fed into people has caused suicides. They have caused sickness. They've caused all kinds of things that have taken place. And they just keep pushing the card with it. They just keep pushing it, and they keep pushing the fear, and they keep pushing the fear more and more and more, and it just creates more death. Well, These folks that have left this life without knowing the Lord Jesus Christ don't have another opportunity. And it's going to get worse. Times are going to get harder. And people who have high stress factors and high anxiety and depression problems right now, man, if you don't come to know Jesus, you're going to really struggle. I'm telling you, the Lord Jesus Christ can give you peace, and he can give you hope beyond anything that you'll ever know. You need peace in your life. If you struggle with anxiety and depression and these kind of things, seek the Lord while he can be found. Okay, so let's go into why I'm saying that this is so important to fill in the gaps right now. All right. I found an article yesterday that stated that almost half the United States have implemented some sort of measures, whether it be lockdowns, soft lockdowns, mandates, whatever it may be. 22 states have something in order that they're working on. And I'm going to share those states with you. They're beginning to go into some sort of restrictions. We've got Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Idaho, Illinois, Iowa, Kentucky, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Texas, Utah, Wisconsin, and California. So that's 22 states that have some kind of measures that they're working on right now. Some of them have already implemented them. Others are in the process. So one of those that we know of for sure, I read an article on this and saw it online, is Michigan. We know that they are going to start their new mandates Wednesday. Is today Wednesday? I don't even know. Anyway, they're starting theirs Wednesday. The governor of Oregon ordered a 2-week freeze. That was what she called it, a freeze starting Wednesday, under which all businesses will be required to close their offices to the public and mandate work from home to the greatest extent possible. That's what the article said. While most Oregon stores will remain open, gyms, museums, pools, movies, theaters, and zoos will be forced to close, and restaurants and bars will be limited to takeout. Social gatherings will be restricted to 6 people. The governor warned that violators could face fines and or arrest if they failed to follow her policies. For the last 8 months, I'm just not even going there. For the last 8 months, she said, I've been asking the folks of Oregon to follow to the letter and the spirit of the law, and we have not chosen to engage law enforcement. And now she says, at this point in time, unfortunately, we have no other option. So if you live in Oregon, you'll either follow the mandates of the governor, or she will sic the state police on you. That's pretty much what that comes down to. The last time that we started lockdowns here in the United States was back in the spring, and it started kind of gradual, and then all of a sudden it just snowballed. It's going to do it again, I think. So keep that in mind. Now, we also have California going into their lockdowns. And the governor of California, I'm going to read you some of his restrictions that he put on his people. I can't find any of these things in the Constitution, but nonetheless, gatherings that include more than 3 households are prohibited. This includes everyone present, including host and guest. Keep the households that you interact with stable over time. That means don't get new households to interact with. The host should collect names of attendees and contact information in case contact tracing is needed later. So everybody you come in contact at your home, you're supposed to take down their name and their phone numbers and where they live. That way you can report them if somebody else got sick that attended that meeting or that gathering. Gatherings that occur outdoor are significantly safer than indoor, of course, according to all these reports. All gatherings must be held outside. Attendees may go inside to use restrooms as long as the restrooms are frequently sanitized. So if they're not sanitized, you're just going to have to hold it till you get home. Gatherings may occur in indoor spaces that are covered by umbrellas, canopies, awnings, roofs, and other shade structures, provided that at least 3 sides of the space, or 75% of it, is open to the outdoors. So if it's raining, you'll need to bring an umbrella. All gatherings of no more than 3 households is permitted in a public park. Period. There's no need for me to read the rest of that, just period. You can't have any more than 3 households permitted in a public park. Shared items should not be used during gatherings. Food and beverages at outdoor gatherings must be in single-serve disposable containers. So you're going to have to pack your food before you go. People at gatherings may remove their face coverings briefly to eat or drink, as long as they stay at least 6 feet away from everyone outside their own household, and put their face coverings back on as soon as they're done with the activity. That's kind of like the restaurant laws they had passed, that when you went in a restaurant, you had to be wearing a face covering. When you got to your seat to sit down, you could take it off and put it in your pocket. Sit there for a half hour, 45 minutes, hour, whatever, you and your whole family, the whole gathering there, you all just sit there and eat and drink and talk and sneeze and do whatever it is everybody does through the whole meal. But when you got up to leave the restaurant, you had to put your mask back on. And I figured out why. Because this thing, it knows what's going on. That's the only thing I can figure out. It knows when you're sitting and it knows when you're standing. And if you're standing, it's going to be more dangerous. That's the only thing I can figure. Rules have to be made to protect us. Gatherings should be 2 hours or less. Singing, chanting, you'll have to pardon me. Singing, chanting, and shouting. If you're doing that, you need to wear a face covering at all times when singing or chanting, including anyone who is leading a song or a chant, because these activities pose a very high risk for this COVID-19. Face coverings are essential to reduce the spread of respiratory droplets. That's been proven false over and over and over again, but that's okay. I agree with what they said right here, that they reduce the spread of droplets and fine aerosols. People who are singing, shouting, or chanting, or exercising are strongly encouraged to maintain physical distance beyond 6 feet to further reduce risk. And people who are doing this are strongly encouraged to do so quietly, at or below the volume of a normal speaking voice. So, if you're in California and you're going to have a gathering outside, and your child has went off down the yard a little bit and you need to holler at him to come back, you probably need to walk down there where he's at so you can holler at him real quiet and he can hear you. Yep. Now that's what it says. So anyway, they discourage using instruments, wind instruments, those kind of things. And that's on the West Coast. So let's move to the East Coast. Because the West Coast sounds like, I agree with this article, man, that sounds like a lot of fun. I'm telling you, they're going to have, yes, you folks are going to have a ball. So on the East Coast, when you get to New York, they're going to have just as much fun as you are. So the governor of New York says, my personal advice is you don't have family gatherings, even for Thanksgiving. The governor said, as he listed off a number of smaller gatherings that have led to recent outbreaks across the state. My personal advice is the best way to say I love you this Thanksgiving, the best way to say I'm thankful for you, is to say I love you so much. I'm so thankful for you that I don't want to endanger you, and I don't want to endanger your family, and I don't want to endanger your friends, so we'll celebrate virtually. We'll do Thanksgiving over the phone or over the computer. And there will be, again, just like there was in the spring. Now this will happen. I'll be surprised if it don't. You'll have those that will be paid to report people for breaking the rules. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be a rule breaker, you better watch for those folks that are watching you, okay? And those folks will gain popularity with the government. So, you know, that's just how that works. There's just a lot of stuff, guys, on the plate ahead of us. Now, I know I poked a little fun at a couple of these things going through here, but these people that put these restrictions out here and these mandates, they're serious about them. And no matter what they sound like, or no matter what we feel about them, they're there. It's just like I said in another video the other day. We like to feel like that our vote counts and that we have a say in what goes on in our government. But when we follow mandates and we follow things that are not constitutional or not law, then we really don't have any say, no matter how we vote. We have no say. We also have the possibility that Joe Biden will be our next president. If he is, he's our president. That's just how that works. We don't have any choice in it. If he is, he's already hired a task force. And his task force, this is something you need to think about very seriously, because there's implications here that folks don't always get. Dr. Michael Osterholm, he's the infectious disease specialist, and I mentioned this the other day in a video. He's been added as a member of Mr. Biden's COVID-19 team. And he said that he feels like that we need to have a 4 to 6 week national lockdown. Now, I'm not talking about one state or two states. I'm talking about the entire United States being locked down 4 to 6 weeks. And he said, and I want you to think about this, because we have already printed trillions and trillions of dollars. The Federal Reserve has printed trillions of dollars, just right out of thin air. This Dr. Osterholm said we have a big pool of money out there that we could borrow at historic low interest rates by the federal government. So is he like part of the federal government? Is he like part of the borrowing process? I mean, first it says he's just a member of the team, and now he's saying himself that we have a big pool. He's included in this. We have a big pool of money out there that we could borrow at historic low interest rates by the federal government. We could pay for a package right now to cover all the lost wages for individual workers, losses to small companies and medium-sized companies, for cities, states, county governments. Well, we've already printed trillions of dollars that was supposed to do that. And instead of the small businessman benefiting from it, or the people like here in the state of Kentucky that's been laid off of work for months on end that can't get any unemployment because of mishandling of funds, do they think that we're going to believe that they're going to help anybody this time? Do you really think that these people are going to distribute these funds to the people and not do like they did before and just funnel it out to the big corporations on Wall Street so they can keep the stock market plunging higher and higher by manipulating it? It'll be no different this time than it was before. You'll get no more money this time than you did before. There's been millions of people that didn't get a stimulus check. So what happened to that? But yet, there were huge multi-million-dollar corporations that spent over $1 million celebrating that they got their stimulus or their bailout, and then they wasted money by the millions having parties on it. And people sitting here in the States trying to figure out where to buy the next meal. And we're supposed to believe these people? Right. He continued, if we did that, then we could lock down for 4 to 6 weeks, and if we did that, we could drive the numbers down. Yeah, if you print a bunch more money and give it to these corporations, you can shut the whole country down for 4 to 6 weeks and you folks will be just fine. But what about the working man that's been laid off for months on end, that's trying to figure out how to feed his family? Folks, it's time to get your stuff in order. I'm telling you, it's time to get your stuff in order. You need to fill in the gaps. If you've got gaps in your freezer, fill them in. If you've got gaps in your pantry, fill them in. This stuff's going to roll out and it's going to hit hard and fast. And it's going to be worse this time than it was in the spring, because this time it's going to be cold outside. It's going to be real cold outside. Lots of people are going to be suffering through this. Lots of people are not going to be able to pay their electric bills this winter, their heat bills, their rent, their house payments. We've already been warned by people that it's going to be a dark winter. So keep that in mind. And with that in mind, let me say again that I pray that you know the Lord Jesus Christ. I pray that you have His hope in you and His Spirit in you, the peace of God that passes all understanding. Because we can bear through this. No matter what comes or what happens, the grace of God will suffice me and my family. Because my hope is in Him. That's where all my hope is. It's not in the government. It's not in any individual. It's not in Trump. It's not in Biden. It's not in anybody. My hope is in God and God alone. That's where my peace is found. That's where my rest is found. And I pray that you find the Lord Jesus Christ if you don't know Him before it's eternally too late. Folks, thank you for stopping in today and bearing with me through this video. It's kind of been a difficult one for me to do because there's so much that I wanted to say that I couldn't. But I just want to encourage you to fill in all your gaps right now, because that window of opportunity is getting narrow and narrow and narrow, and it's going to shut pretty soon, I think. So get it ready, put it in your pantries, and be ready to go. God bless you all, and we'll see you in the next video.